Hey guys, it's me, Miss Norris, and today I'd like to share a fun read aloud with you of the story, Why Are You Fighting, Davy? The story, Why Are You Fighting, Davy, was written in 1999 by Brigitte Weninger and it is illustrated by Eve Tharlet. If you're ready to hear the story, I'm ready to share it with you. Here we go. Why are you fighting, Davy? So we see two bunnies and they look like they know each other, but they're upset with each other. And I'll start out by showing you the bunny family. We have father, mother. Mother is holding Dinah. Then we have Dan, Eddie, Nikki. Oh, Davy. Nikki is the doll. Donnie and Daisy. All of this is Davy's family and his friend, Eddie. Why are you fighting, Davy? It's a good question. Fighting is usually not the answer. It was a hot summer's day. Davy and his friend Eddie were playing by the brook. Let's build a dam, Eddie suggested. I don't know how, said Davy. Leave it to me, said Eddie. I build the best dams in the world. All right, said Davy. You build the dam and I'll make the boat. I build the best boats in the world. And they both set to work. So they both are saying that they're good at certain things. Eddie is very good at building dams, which hold back water, and Davy is really good at making boats that float on the water. And they are doing their own thing, but together. Eddie was nearly finished with the dam, and Davy had made a big boat of twigs and bark. He proudly showed it to Eddie. Launch it if you like, said Eddie. I just need a couple more rocks, then the dam will be ready. The water level was rising behind the dam. Will it be strong enough? Asked Davy, doubtfully. Of course, said Eddie. My dams are always strong enough. At that moment, psh, the dam burst. So they've both worked on building what they said, a boat made out of twigs and bark, and a dam. But this is the best boat Davy has ever made, and he doesn't want it to get lost or ruined. And so he asks, is your dam going to be strong? And Eddie seems a little upset about that. Well, yeah, of course my dam is going to be strong. The sudden rush of water swept Davy's boat away. My boat! My beautiful boat! Wailed Davy. He ran after it, but the water was moving too fast for him to catch up. Davy came back furious. That was the best boat I ever built, he shouted. Now it's gone and it's all your fault. It was just a silly little boat, Eddie retorted. I could make one with my eyes closed. So Davy's very upset because he lost his boat. And Eddie says, you should chill out. I could make a boat that good with my eyes closed. Which is probably not what your friend wants to hear when they've lost something they care about. This was too much for Davy. He pulled Eddie's ear. And Eddie pulled his. And then they were both on the ground, rolling over and over until they tumbled into the cold brook. That stopped them. Davy stood up and shook the water off. That's it, Eddie, he said. You're not my friend anymore. I never want to see you again. Never, ever. And he ran all the way home. So they're in a little argument about whether that boat was really that important. And to Davy, the boat was very important. But to Eddie, it wasn't. And then they were pulling each other's ears and rolling on the ground, and the cold water made them snap out of it. But then Davy shouted at Eddie that he didn't ever want to be his friend again and ran home. Do you think he means that? Back already? Said Davy's mother, surprised to see him home so soon. I thought you were playing with Eddie. We had a fight, and I'm never going to play with him ever again, said Davy. Oh dear, said Mother Rabbit. Why were you fighting, Davy? He wrecked my boat, said Davy. But Davy, said his mother, shaking her head, Eddie is your best friend. He was my best friend, said Davy, and he stormed off. So Mama was surprised to see him home so early, and even more surprised when he said that Eddie's not his friend anymore. And she says, but he's your best friend. And he says, not anymore. And he needs to stomp off to his room. Davy went to his room to find his toy rabbit, Nicky. You're my best friend, Nicky, he said. We never fight, do we? Do you want to play? Nicky didn't say no, so Davy threw him up in the air and caught him. Then he threw him again and again until his arms began to ache. After that, they played hide and seek, but Davy had to do all the seeking. Nicky wasn't much good at tag either. Davy said, Nicky, I do like you, but this is boring. Let's see if Dan or Donnie or Daisy wants to play. So he thought he could just play with his stuffed rabbit, and he did, and that was pretty fun for a while. But his stuffed rabbit can't really play back, and so he's going to go find one of his brothers or his sister to see if they'll play. Davy found his big brother, Dan, at the front door. Will you play with us, Dan? He said. Not now. I'm going to meet my friends, said Dan. So Davy went to look for Daisy and Donnie, but he couldn't find them. He asked his mother where they were. Well, they've gone to pick mushrooms with your father, said Mother Rabbit. Why not play with Dinah while I do the washing? Davy didn't want to play with Dinah. She was just a baby. He scowled and walked away. Let's go back to the brook, Nicky, he said. So one of his brothers was his older brother was getting ready to go meet his friends. His other brother and sister were picking mushrooms with Dad. And Mama says, well, you can play with Dinah. And he says, well, that's just as good as playing with my stuffed rabbit. He's just a baby. And so he took his stuffed rabbit and went back to the brook. Davy set Nicky down at the water's edge. Watch this, he said. I'll show you how to build a dam. If Eddie can do it, so can I. Davy waded into the brook. He piled stones on top of each other, but they all fell down, and the water wouldn't stop flowing through his dam. Davy tried and tried again. He was getting hot and bothered. How did Eddie do it? He muttered. Just then, a wobbly little boat floated past, half sunk in the water. Where did that come from? Davy wondered. Come on, Nicky, let's go find out. So Davy tries to build a dam because Eddie said it was so easy, and just as he does it, a little half-sunk boat comes floating by, and Davy and his stuffed rabbit go to inspect where that might have come from. Davy tiptoed upstream and saw Eddie trying to launch another boat. The boat kept falling over. Eddie tried and tried again. He was getting hot and bothered. How did Davy do it? He muttered. simple, said Davy. You have to put the main mast right in the middle. Eddie looked up, startled. I can't do this as well as you, he said. Do you want me to help you? Asked Davy. Yes, please. Davy showed Eddie what he was doing wrong, and together they built 2 big, beautiful bark boats. Always kind of hard to stay mad at your best friend, isn't it? Especially when you see that they're having a hard time. So Davy noticed that Eddie was having a really hard time building those boats. So he said, You want me to show you? He says, Yeah. We need a pool to float these on, said Davy. I started to build a dam, but I can't do it as well as you. Do you want me to help you? Asked Eddie. Yes, please. Eddie showed Davy how to wedge the stones securely, and together they built a big, strong dam right across the brook. So they worked together to build boats, and now they work together to build a dam, and now they have everything they need for an afternoon of fun with their water in the boats. As the water level rose behind the dam, the 2 friends whooped for joy. Woohoo! It's holding, cried Davy. Then they solemnly shook hands. You did a good job, Davy. So did you, Eddie. They played with their boats until the sun went down. So they agreed that now that everything was working well, they both agreed that they had a great day and that they both did a good job teaching the other one the things that they already knew how to do. And they played until it started to get dark. When Davy came home, the rest of his family was already at the supper table. Why did you stay out so late, Davy? Asked Mother Rabbit. I was playing in the brook with Eddie, he said. It was such fun, we forgot the time. You played with Eddie, said Mother. I thought you 2 had a fight. Oh, that was ages ago, said Davy. So Davy came home late and his mom said, Where have you been? And she was very surprised when he said that he was playing with Eddie, because just that very afternoon he said they weren't friends and they weren't ever never going to be friends. And now he says, Well, that was like 100 years ago, Mom. Now we're best friends again. The end. Ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed the story, Why Are You Fighting, Davy? Please hit that thumbs up button at the bottom of the page. If you are already a subscriber, thank you so much for your support. It really means a lot to me. If you are not a subscriber yet, please click that subscribe button down there at the bottom of the page, and don't forget to click the bell so that you're notified when there's new content. I hope to see you all again real soon. Bye-bye, and don't fight.